How's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Friday. Finally made it to the weekend. 11:01 a.m. That's California time, January 24th, 2025. Almost coming up to February already. Latest activity here on the map shows a 5.7 earthquake here around Papua New Guinea. Coming in pretty shallow there at 6 miles just below the surface. That's one of the latest and I believe the largest quake here in the last 24 hours across the globe. Double check that. Yep. Just to verify. Previous to that, a 5.3 here across the Peru area into the Peru-Chile Trench. Let's go ahead and check out California. Latest activity stirring up down here across the state. Still seeing some elevated movement, even a couple newer quakes overnight and this morning. Of course, yesterday a handful of quakes out here above the 2.5 level across this area of the plate boundary. That's going to be the San Andreas Fault. Latest quake activity up around the Ridgecrest area and the San Bernardino Mountain Range. Quite a few small microquakes stretching up towards the San Andreas Fault here. And got a little line of activity here from Bakersfield across the east. Mainly smaller microquake activity, but still lighting up out here. Got a total tally, at least here in the Southern California area, of about 34 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. And largest magnitude of that's going to be the 2.8 down here off the San Andreas Fault from last night. Specifically in this area, around that 2.8, no aftershock activity. Just a little bit of pressurization going on here across the San Andreas Fault. Quite a bit of strain building up out here along California here recently. Northern California, one little earthquake from early this morning, a little 1.8. Really surprised they're reporting that. Let me check here. Seismograph stations there look pretty quiet. Aside from the S wave, that's going to be the S signature from a, that's going to be that 5.7 down here across the Papua New Guinea area just within the last half hour or so, finally making its way across the globe in terms of the distant seismograph stations from that earthquake. Not for sure why I have two New Zealand stations up here. Fix that. China Lake. Look at that earthquake activity showing up on China Lake. Quite a few spikes there going on across that area. And it's been like that majority of the morning. Not a whole lot of that earthquake activity being reported. Looks like maybe one here. Let's see. That's a little 1.0 at 10:55. So that would match up. That would match up time frame with this earthquake right here. But so that's a 1-pointer. You think about these other ones are going to be generally smaller, but the importance of it is that there's a lot of microquake, very small earthquake activity being detected on the seismograph stations there. And that's a sign of overall increasing pressure out here across Southern California. I sometimes refer to that little events there, continuous earthquake activity such as like fracturing of the rock or pressurization here of the area. So we'll continue to keep an eye there on Southern California with the movement stirring up. Looks like another earthquake here in the last 5 minutes around the Pear Blossom area of Southern California. That's just off the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault as well. So things are still quite amplified out here. Remain on guard. Bay Area up here across Northern California, fairly quiet. One earthquake here early this morning outside of the Discovery Bay area. A little 2.2. Nothing big going on there for now, but it seems like most of the activity, the Bay Area southward here, San Andreas Fault, Garlock Fault shear zone, specifically within this area, seeing amplified conditions with increasing earthquake movement here today and last night as well. Up around the Hebgen Lake Estates area, outside of Yellowstone National Park, a couple ones stirring up there from yesterday. Let me give a quick glance at the Yellowstone thumbnails. It's an overview of the seismograph stations out there. And a couple of those earthquakes, if you look here, these were from yesterday and late last night. So that's going to be, I guess it's going to be a couple of these earthquakes right here. But since then and overnight and this morning, a couple more earthquakes showing up there on the graph. These spikes are indicative of some very small microquake activity, but it's earthquake activity nonetheless. And USGS not reporting any of the newer activity out here this morning. Just those 2 earthquakes from yesterday, but still got some earthquake activity stirring up. Just nothing big, just a handful of smaller microquakes out there. Texas oil fields still rocking and rolling out there. It's always going to be the case out there for the foreseeable future out in the oil fields. These latest earthquakes here out in this area of Texas, very close to oil pumping operations out there. A lot of these look like they may be some older ones, but got to remember sometimes it takes weeks, if not years, for earthquake activity to show up across various oil field and pumping operations. But it's littered with it. Some type of, I believe that's a wastewater pond. Got Pac-Man out here in the desert. But anyway, a lot of oil fields out here. And that will continue for quite a while. In terms of earthquake relation to the oil boom, it's a spot-on match. 1.8, that is outside the New Madrid seismic zone. Nothing going on there for now. Back in December and November of 2024, it was quite amplified with a number of earthquakes out here. But things are, kind of remaining steady out there in terms of smaller microquake activity. Nothing big for now, but this, obviously an active intraplate area, and it does have potential for some large earthquake movement. Got a little lonesome earthquake up here around the Paramus, New Jersey area, north of New York. 2.4 from early this morning. And this region here, if I remember right, it sits in an area, directly in that area where there's been some larger earthquake activity historically. I don't recall the last big earthquake out here, but, previous to the development of this massive area of concrete jungle, there had been some recorded, documented, larger earthquake activity out there. So it's a little interesting there to see a 2.4 in that region today. Across the, let me double check, make sure bells are off, which they are. Across the rest of the globe, got continual earthquake movement out here. It's just been an active swarm of earthquake movement. No big earthquake activity resulting from the last couple days of, all this massive movement. But we'll continue to keep an eye on certain regions out here. Pretty good cluster of movement, Philippines southward, as you can see on the globe. Of course, there's the latest 5.7 around Papua New Guinea. Things dying off over here across New Zealand for now. A lot of deeper activity across the Tonga Trench recently, adding further strain across this plate boundary as what we're seeing here today, increasing movement. There's a couple of those deep earthquakes there from yesterday. Let's see. Yeah, they're still showing up here on the globe. Japan area taking a little break up here for now. Still keep an eye on the Nankai Trough. It tends to go in these little wave patterns out here. Almost like it works its way from south and then it restarts up to the north. But there's actually a lot of activity south of the equator area today. Got a decent earthquake across the Peru area. That's going to be a 5.3 there early this morning into the Peru-Chile Trench. A couple of earthquakes here from yesterday across the fracture boundaries out in this area of the Pacific. The Atlantic Ocean taking a break there from earthquakes for now. The Mediterranean region, some older activity here from yesterday and today. A little bit of movement today. As far as the Ethiopia rift boundary, a couple fours out there in the last 24 hours. Getting some further adjustment here across the Iran region, it looks like. That's going to be back over here. A little 4.7 from early this morning. But, it looks like things starting to stir back up out here across that Rift Valley with increasing magnitude 4s stirring up. Let me see what we got for the seismograph station out there in that area of the world. Zoom in here. The station's pretty close there to that Great Rift Valley there around Ethiopia. So we'll run over here and check out the seismograph station, which is right here. There's a couple of those earthquakes being reported, those magnitude 4 levels. A couple other smaller ones in there as well, but just staying pretty consistent out there with earthquake activity. Nothing big going on there for now. Let's see here. I want to look real quick, see when our last big earthquake was out here across New York. I think I've done it before, but just want to double check. We'll go 4.5 and above, and we're just going to go back to the year 1000. I think that works. Take a little time travel. I wish we could time travel. That'd be kind of neat, right? 1,000 years, the year 1000. Let's see, let's draw a little rectangle here on the map. And just check out this area of New York. So there's the culprits of the USGS hazard map indicative there that I had shown you guys. I'll show it again here. This area can see some larger earthquake activity. Looks like the largest one, 4.8 out here last year back in, this isn't the largest, but most recent one, back in April of last year. Previous to that, 5.3 underneath the New York City area back in 1884. 5.1 New Jersey, 1783. 1737, 5.1. So hundreds of years have passed in this area from the last, somewhat decent sized earthquakes here. So it does have potential. Obviously, there around the New York area. This is well before the developed region. But that 4.8 was definitely felt out there. I remember reporting back on that last year. It was felt, man, all over the place out there. But of course, these even the moderate quakes can be felt at a much broader distance compared to areas east or west of the Rockies there, just due to the brittleness of the land out here. Is that a word, brittleness? Well, it is now. Let's see. Take another look here at the map. I just want to see if anything else has popped up. Looks about the same. Let's go ahead and check out space weather activity. Let's see what we have here for today. Looking at a number of sunspots out here, but these that are currently facing the planet are pretty much in degrading mode or decaying mode. Not really expecting much from any of these sunspots. There was some type of explosion out there on the far eastern limb of the sun that was caught here on this image on the southeastern limb of the sun early this morning, way out there. So some type of large flaring activity lets us know there that there's a definite active region out there, not yet into the observable view. But we'll wait for that here in the coming days, see if that comes into play here. Might remain active as we come into early next week. As far as the potential here for the auroras, it looks like maybe tonight we'll see things kick up around the G1 class storm. Here's the view line. So that means the northern tier states have a chance there to see the auroras potentially overhead and at a distance if you're looking north with a clear sky, obviously. But really not expecting much here. And I say that because of the it's just going to be barely a glancing blow from this recent CME explosion. As you can see here, this is the sun. Actually, it looks like they maybe added another CME, resulting in some type of cannibal CME there. Wasn't like that a day or so ago when they first put this out. It looks like may have a better shot of the aurora activity now for tonight with that secondary CME there. So yeah, we'll see what happens a little bit later on this evening. Watch for that. Nothing big, but the potential is there for aurora activity north. Nothing major going on in the severe weather department. Pretty quiet. Still a lot of colder air out there across the majority of the country. Got a low pressure system here this weekend, bringing Southern California some rainfall, a little bit of snow up in the mountains. That not really going to expect much out there, but hopefully it helps limit the fire spreads out there. We've got another big fire I'll show you guys in a minute down there. But they got a little bit of rain coming. That's good news. After that, looks like maybe some severe weather potential here with that low pressure mid-week, next week, out there across Texas and whatnot. California, looks like we're on tap here to see the storm door open and get some further rainfall out here and snow in the mountains with the return to a winter wetter pattern out here. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on that. The total accumulated precipitation runs out here looking promising as well for Northern California. Not so much down Southern California, but I guess they'll take anything they can get at this point. But I'm definitely happy to see a return to winter out here. I'm not really ready for 115 degrees yet, which this area can easily see here in Northern California. Fires, go ahead and check this out real quick. Run down here and check out the border fire. That thing blew up overnight. It was, I think it was only at about 500 acres there last night. Really ramped up out here. I'm thinking we're more than 4,250 acres. Just looking at that, there's a lot of hot spots out there. This is all being detected by thermal satellite imagery. A lot burning out here. The camera imagery here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Look at the fire retardant out here, preventing that spread. Wow. A lot of charred hills out there. Still some smoke out there as well. And still looks like some active burning conditions. A little spotty out there, but it's still burning. And I don't believe we have too much containment on that. Let me double check, see what we have. 10% containment. The majority of the fire burning to the southwest or west. Not a whole lot of wind with this right now, so hopefully they get this under control. Here's a shot 2 hours ago, it looks like. A couple different areas here burning towards some homes down there. But again, the winds are fairly light out there, so hopefully they get that contained quickly. And that is going to be the Border 2 fire. If we look at the rest of the area, no further big fires to note. This is obviously getting contained. Not for sure what's going on up here. It looks like a newer hot spot kicking up out of the blue. I don't see anything really on the camera though, so I'm not for sure if this is maybe just a little error. But we'll keep an eye on it. 95% containment there. Palisades fire, that is getting much better as well. 77% containment. Let's see what we got for the imagery. Looks pretty clear out there, aside from smog and smoke in the area, but making progress, right? The hugest fire up here, 56% containment. That pretty much blew up out of the blue and burned some areas around here. I'm not for sure what this place was, but looks like it was within that fire perimeter as well. But either way, making progress. A little hotspot activity up north here being detected by satellite imagery. So hopefully they get that under control, right? Alrighty. Another 1.5 here within the last few minutes since I've been chatting. Down there across the Southern California area, greater Los Angeles region, near Garden Grove, 1.5. So this is just, it's an overall pattern out here of elevated seismic activity that's taking place. Got to keep an eye on it, because when things start to move, that is when the potential for a greater earthquake exists. These little quakes are not relieving strain. If anything, if you think about it, it's a result of further straining of the entire plate boundary, the region down here. Makes sense. So keep your eyes open. Keep your all of us have our phones on us, right? It's crazy the age that we're living in here, but it comes in handy, and that includes safety. Make sure you download the MyShake app from the App Store. It's an early alert notification system there. I've had it gone off. It's gone off on me a couple different times here in Northern California when we had that 7-pointer up here and also the 5-pointer in Nevada. About 20 seconds there of notification before I felt shaking or rolling motion from the earthquake. But of course, I was a distance away. But still, it's good to have that early alert notification system on your phone. Let you know when a earthquake is happening in your area. And even if it's 5 seconds before you feel some strong shaking, that's at least 5 seconds there to maybe get or alert your family to get to a safe location. It's called MyShake. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good day, good Friday. We'll catch you guys out here a little bit later on this evening for the Friday night update. Stay safe.